Hey, good morning, Keller Williams. We are about 5 minutes out from starting our webinar, 5 minutes out from starting the consumer app webinar. So thanks for joining me this morning. If you haven't already, grab your coffee, get your phone, grab your laptop. Obviously, we're going to be going through the consumer app. So if you can have Zoom on your laptop, so you can have your cell phone out, so you can actually go through the consumer app with us together. So we'll get started here in about 5 more minutes. See you guys soon. All right, so good morning, Keller Williams. Welcome to the KW Consumer App webinar training. This is my Q2 Regional Tech Trainer session for you guys there. So first of all, for those of you that I have not met, my name is Marty Miller. I am your Regional Technology Trainer for the South Texas region. So I include you guys there in the Austin area. I've got all of the Houston area, San Antonio, and then all the way south down to the Rio Grande Valley. I live here in Katy, Texas, right outside of Houston. I have an amazing wife, two beautiful daughters. You can see them in the background there. And our third is on the way, so we're excited. Little Lily May will come August 19th or thereabouts. So pretty exciting there. Keller Williams career, I've been with Keller Williams for more than 6 years now. I started off as an individual agent like many of you. Shortly thereafter, joined a team, became a buyer's agent, worked my way up to become a listing agent, and then was promoted to the VP of expansion when we opened our second office. Got to come back and become the VP of sales and ultimately the president of the company while my rainmaker kind of stepped out to do some commercial projects. So was an active agent for about 4.5 years on that team, had a great time. We were a top 15 team in Houston during those 4 years, and that team is still doing very well. But I pursued an opportunity to become a productivity coach after that. Worked with Randy Olive, Lance and Karina Loken at the Cypress Market Center here in Houston, and did that for about 14 months. And then as of the first of the year, became the, like I said, regional technology trainer for South Texas. So super excited to be with you guys today. Real quick, just some housekeeping, and then we're going to dive into it. So you guys are on a Zoom webinar. Might be a little bit different if this is the first time you've been on one of these. Yes, your camera is automatically turned off, and yes, you are automatically muted. So I cannot see you. You guys can see me, obviously. But one another can't see you and we can't hear you either. So don't worry about if the dogs are barking or the kids are running around in the background or whatever may be happening on your other typical Zooms. This one gives you a little bit more freedom to be able to do what you need to do and hopefully still participate. So on the very bottom, if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you should have a little toolbar that pops up, and one of those buttons says participants. So if you click on participants, you'll get a list of everybody that's on the webinar right now. You can click on your name and you'll have the ability to raise your hand. So if at any point you want to ask a question and you prefer to do that verbally, I can see you raise your hand. Yep, Ryan just raised her hand, put it back down. Good job, Ryan. And I can then see you, I can unmute you, or basically allow you to unmute yourself, and then you can ask your questions. At the very bottom of that screen, you should also have a button that says more, and then there's one that says chat. So depending on which setup you have, you do have a chat box. You're more than welcome to put your questions there in the chat box, and I'll kind of review that as we go throughout the day. So today's class is about the KW Consumer app. In the chat, let me ask you the first question I have for you. What kind of app is it? Put your answers there in the chat box. So I make sure you guys understand how to use that, number one, and number two, that you understand what kind of class we're in. What kind of app is it? Tom, you get the prize for the morning. Congratulations, sir. It is a consumer app. Yes, Cameron, Linda, all on the same page. This is a consumer app. So I want to make sure that gets across real clear right off the bat. This app was built for the consumer to use to search for homes, to understand the buying process, the listing process, to communicate with their agent, but it is built for the consumer. So I've had a lot of questions from agents asking, well, can it do this? Can it do that? And they're thinking with their agent cap on, right? So for the first 3/4 of this hour that we're together, you need to take that agent hat off, put on your consumer hat, and we're gonna use the app as the consumer would. So I'm gonna make sure that you guys understand how it works for the consumer, and then we're gonna spend a little time on the command side, showing you some of the interactions that the app has with command as well. So first things first, let me go ahead and share my phone. Give me 2 seconds to set that up. And we're gonna dive right into the KW Consumer app. And there we go. All right, you guys should now be able to see my screen. So that button in the top left-hand corner, that is the KW Consumer app button. Okay, that's what the app actually looks like. If you have not downloaded it, you want to go to your Google Play or your iPhone App Store or whichever kind of system that you're using, and look for KW Realty, and that is the app. Again, white background, red letters, you'll know you have the correct one. If you've already downloaded the app and yet haven't done a recent update, you will know that because your screen is not going to look exactly like my screen. And the way that you know is that in the bottom right-hand corner of your app, it may still say you. Y-O-U. If it does, you have the app, you just haven't updated yet. So we had an update come out about 3 weeks ago that changed that button to more and added some new features as well. So we're going to talk about those today. If your button still says you need to update your app. We're going to go ahead and click on the more button to start. If you don't see your agent at the very top, the app that you have is not branded to an agent, including yourself. Okay, so it may look like, and I'm going to show you how or what it looks like when there is no agent attached to your account. So you can see at the top there, if your consumer or you are downloading or received a link that didn't work for some reason, and they have an unbranded app, meaning there is no agent attached to it, this is what it looks like. So in order for them to find an agent, all they would have to do would be click on find an agent. And I'm not going to pick on any of you. This isn't meant to embarrass anybody, but let's just say I was looking for an agent in Georgetown, Texas. So I would pull up this list and I could see here are all of the agents, right, that are available for me to look through. And let's just stop right here. As I'm scrolling through the agents, of the 6 that are listed on this page, which 1 or 2 are you most likely to want to do business with? Of the 6 agents that you can see on this page, which 1 or 2 would you most likely want to do business with? Now, this isn't anything good or bad. I don't know these agents, right? Russ Phillips says he would pick himself, but you're not on the screen, Russ. So Angela and Ashley are right on point, right? Yes, the consumer is more than likely going to choose, if they don't know any of these agents, an agent that they can make a connection with. And typically, that's from somebody that has a picture on their app. So the first thing I want to make sure that I implore you guys to do is to get into your KW Command marketing settings, your KW Connect profile settings, and go through that process, fill out that entire guide. The one part of that obviously is uploading your headshot so that you can then be seen with your beautiful headshot on the app. Okay, so first things first, let's make sure that you have that set up. Next, I can search for a specific agent. I'm going to search for myself. And I can choose myself. Now at this point, I have not branded myself to my app. And so if the consumer gets to this point, there's still one more step that they have to do to brand the app to you. Okay, so if you're working with your consumers to teach them how to do that. I also just want to show you what it looks like when you have your marketing profile completely filled out. You can see I've got my headshot, my team name, my team logo, the website of my team, my market center address, my specialties and designations, phone number, email, and then my full marketing profile there. Okay, so this is what I want yours to look like as well. Now, in order to fully brand this app to me as the agent, the consumer would have to click on the Get in Touch button at the very bottom. As soon as they click on that, they can click on Confirm, and they're going to get the screen that says, now Marty is your agent. They'll help you find the right home. You can connect them at any time through the app. All right, and I can tap anywhere to dismiss. And now when I come back, you can see that my branding is clearly listed at the very top. There it says my headshot, my name, and the consumer can easily get back to clicking on my profile and seeing more stuff about me, okay? So that's what I want you guys to do. Number 1 is make sure A, that your profiles are filled out, and B, that you have branded the app to yourself, okay? I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I don't know why updates are still coming in, so I apologize if that happens a few more times. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through what it looks like to search for homes on the actual app. Okay, so let's walk through the process of searching for a home on the app. First, let's just say, let me see who's on the call. Let's look at participants. Who can I pick on? Well, Russ, I saw you already up there, right? So Russ, tell me, if you could live anywhere in the US, money was no object, but you wanted to live near a major landmark. Let's just say, for example, Disney World. Where would you want to live? What would be something that you would love to live close to? And if Russ isn't paying attention, then someone else throw something in the chat there for me. What would be a major landmark that you would love to live near? Russ is a man after my own heart. Yellowstone National Park. Russ, what's the address there? Oh, wait, you don't know it? That's okay, because we're just going to search within the app for Yellowstone National Park. Did I put in an address? Did I put in a city? Did I put it in the state? Nope. But there's Yellowstone National Park. All right, look at that big old park. So I could come all the way up to the north side here and start looking for homes in that area, right? So what if it actually was Disney World? I want to live near Disney World because I'm sick of having to fly to Orlando, right? Boom, there is Disney World, and I can zoom out and see houses for sale in that area. We're not going to get too political, but what if it was the White House? I just wanted to live nearby. I could put in, not the Woke House, the White House. Come on, Marty. I got fat fingers, sorry guys. White House, and I could search, and boom, there brings up the White House. Now, at no point on any of those three did I put in a city, did I put in a state, or did I put in an address? So that's the first thing that sets our app apart from the majority of other real estate apps. I think this is the only app that does this, and that you can search for landmarks. It's powered by Google. Basically, whatever you're putting in that search, Google then says, what's the most likely thing that they are searching for, and then zooms in the map on that actual landmark or idea. So searching by landmarks is one. Next, I could search for, here in Katy, Cinco Ranch is a really popular neighborhood. I have a lot of people say, well, I don't know much about Katy, but I just know Cinco Ranch is supposed to be a nice neighborhood. So I could search for Cinco Ranch, and boom, there it pulls up the Cinco Ranch neighborhoods or area. And I can start to zoom in, and I can see that's Cinco Ranch Fountain View, that's Cinco Ranch Cinco Forest, Cinco Ranch Beach Club, North Lake Village, Greenway Village, Westland, right? So you get neighborhood information on this app as well. Now, if you're zoomed out, you can see you've got the blue lines, but you don't have the neighborhood names. As you start to zoom in, you'll actually get the names of the neighborhood. Here's the cool thing, guys. They can click on any one of these neighborhoods and start exploring the neighborhood itself. They can see stats like average days on market, average home price, price per square foot, what locals are saying, commute times, and the consumer can actually put in these three locations. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second, but they can add 3 places that they want to know the commute time from. So what do they, I got to live within 30 minutes of work. I've got to live within 10 minutes of church. I've got to live within 15 minutes of my kid's private school. I got to be within 20 minutes of a Target, whatever it may be. So they can put in any one of those places and fill up all 3 of those spots, and then easily see what the drive time is from that neighborhood, bike time, and walk time. The same will happen when they pull up an actual listing as well. They can see local schools. So Tom, I just scrolled down, and clicked on driving, so you can see it there. They can see the local schools and the scores for the local schools for both public and private. Now that's powered by Pitney Bowes. How many times have we been told, don't be the source of the information? Be the source of the information. Because I could say, yeah, Fielder Elementary is 91%. And somebody might say, oh, that's an amazing score. And someone else might be like, oh, that's not that good. And it's their point of reference, right? They may be going to an elementary school where they come from where the scores are 98 to 99%. And they're like, well, I guess we can do 91. And they might be coming from a school that's 65%, you know, whatever the score is. And they say, wow, 91, that's amazing. So we're not passing judgment. We're just saying, here's the scores. They actually give you the student to teacher ratio as well. So you can use our app anytime you're looking at a neighborhood or a listing to get more information about the local schools. I can also see places. Here's the cool thing here, guys. You see on the map, there's color-coded icons, purple, red, in this case, green. So at the bottom, I can see that those are restaurants, there's some shopping, and there's some arts and entertainment. And then I can scroll through and see, okay, well, these are the local restaurants it's showing. There's a hardware store, there's a gym. Looks like there is a grill and fireplace store, a jewelry store, a pizza place, right? So that's all powered. There's an H-E-B, that's cool. This is all powered by Yelp. So it's pulling the location and then telling you what's around that location as far as, again, cafes, arts and entertainment, fitness, shopping, cafes, nightlife, grocery, and restaurants. So all the different categories that might be available near that neighborhood. And then you can see there's currently 1 home for sale in that neighborhood. So we can search for a major landmark. We can search for a neighborhood. We can also come in, obviously, and just do your good old-fashioned home search. So let's say that I'm looking for a house in Katy between 250, oops, again, fat fingers, right? I'll get it, 250. These sliders are real sensitive, so just a heads up. 250 and let's say 400,000. And 3 girls, I gotta have at least 4 bedrooms. and property type, single family, house. I can click on more, and then you can see I can start getting more detailed with regards to my search. So I can see the listing type. Now here's the cool thing, if you're looking for leases, you can click on listing type and then scroll up a little bit. You see that I have for rent at the bottom there. So I can choose that, and it's going to show me lease listings as compared to listings for sale. Or I can go back to for sale, and then I could see actives. It's going to default to actives, but you can also see that you could choose pendings, coming soon, new construction, foreclosures, and short sale. I will say that I think foreclosures and short sales are still being developed out in the majority of MLSs. Those are not pulling data in HAR, at least for the Houston area. They may be pulling it for ABOR. You'll have to explore. But I do know that they're still kind of working on some of the MLSs to get that data over for you guys. Bathrooms, 3 daughters. I got to have at least 3 bathrooms, right? Can't have 3 of them sharing one. That would just be chaos. Living area, the quarantine has been fun and a 2,600 square foot house, but Lord knows we could use a little bigger. Let's do 3,000, but who wants to clean a 5,000 square foot house? So let's do 3,000 to 4,000. And then you can see I could also do lot size year built. Has parking, probably not that common there. I mean, obviously, like Katie, I'm sure your area has driveways, but think about metropolitan areas where, you know, you're in a townhome or a high rise or mid rise, and you got to decide whether or not you get a parking spot or not. So here are all the different criteria that I just put in. I can come up to the top right and click on done. And then you can see on my map right now, there is one home that matches the criteria. Now I can zoom out by pinching in, right, on the map, and then it'll start to search for more properties. So you can see additional properties start to show up. Now I could say, well, you know, based upon this map, there's some areas that I know I want to live in and some areas that I don't want to live in. I'd love to be in a community that has some water. So I'm going to click on the draw button. And then I'm going to put my finger on my screen and I'm going to start saying, you know what, I really like this area right in here with all these lakes. That looks like a really nice area. And once I let go, it basically zoomed in on that area and said, okay, this is the area you want to search in. So I've now said how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, square footage of the house, that it's a single family house, right, an actual house. And then I've said, okay, this is the area I want to search in. I can now actually save this search by clicking on that ribbon in the top right-hand corner, and I can call this whatever I'd like. So let's just say Cinco Ranch Homes, and click on save. I'm going to show you where you can get that information back up in just a second, but let's dive into one of these listings. All right, so here's one that it looks like the price didn't take because I was not looking over 400. But there's no under 400. So anyways, make sure that the price bar saves. For some reason, when mine did it, it didn't actually save there. So in that case, I don't think any of these listings would show up because I think these are all over 400,000. And yet, let's go ahead and dive into one of the listings. So as soon as I click on one, you can see it pulls up at the very bottom there. If I click, I can drag that listing up, and then you can see I can get all the information. At the top, I can see the pictures. I can swipe left and start to see all the pictures that have been uploaded from the MLS on that actual property. Just below that, I can see the price, the bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage of this home. That white space below the price and above the address, if there has been a price decrease, and yes, Russ, this is being recorded, I'll send it to your leadership team, the YouTube link, so you can watch it later. Right below the price, if there's been a recent price decrease, you'll actually see a little squiggled arrow, and it'll tell you the price, so the amount. So if it's like a $5,000 price decrease, you'll see that listed right there. Underneath the address, you have 3 buttons. It says save, hide, and share. If this is a listing that I really like, that I want to easily access in the future, I can click on save. And then I have the ability to create a collection or just save it in my favorites. So how often are you looking at homes and you're like, for me personally, at some point, I really want to live on the water. Like I'd love to be in Lake Travis, on the water, boat slip, boat there, ready to roll, right? So I could be searching and I could create a collection that was lakeside homes and then start saving properties. Even though that's probably a 10 to 15-year plan, I could start saving properties I was interested in just so that when the time comes, I've got properties in there, right? Now they may be off market or whatever. I could also save them to my favorites, or I could just easily create a new collection by clicking on that create new collection button and then call this, and in this case, it might be Cinco Ranch Homes, and save. Now I have that collection actually saved within my collections library, and I can easily access it in the future. So I said Cinco Ranch Homes, and then I clicked on it. Now this property has been saved to my Cinco Ranch Home collection. It's kind of like Pinterest. I don't do Pinterest, but that's what I've been trying to save. So as I understand, you can pin different things to a board. This is kind of like that. I'm putting different homes that I like within a collection. That might be kitchen remodel. That might be amazing pools. That might be free car garages, right? If I'm looking to remodel my garage, whatever it may be, they can create as many collections as they would like and put as many properties in each one of those collections as they would like. Now, how often have you had people searching for a home and they're like, oh, I'm on the app every day and it's the same 10 homes. I'm so sick of seeing those same 10 homes. Well, on our app, you actually have the ability to hide a listing. So you can click on that hide button. You'll see it lights up red. And then when I come back to the map by dragging down, you can see that that property now has a little red over it. And oops, now it's hidden, so I can't see that listing anymore. If your consumer ends up doing that, just know that they can always come down to the More button at the bottom right, and they can click on, they're gonna go, yes, More. No, it's not that More button, it's the More button at the top right. Sorry guys, got my More buttons mixed up. More button at the very top right, under the arrow, and then they can scroll down to the very bottom, and you'll see there is a button that says Show Hidden Listings. So I can click on Show Hidden Listings. You can see my results in that bottom right-hand corner change from 6 to 7. I'll click on Done. I'll go back to my map, and now you can see that listing. I can click on that listing now and say, oops, I didn't mean to do that, and let me unhide that listing. Now it's going to show up on my map in the future. Last option is to share the listing. Obviously, if you're sharing it with your business partner, your husband, your wife, your kids, your mom, your best friend, you have the ability to just click on share. And then you can see you can easily text that to anyone you've been talking with previously or via email, on Facebook, any of your other chat or message programs. And it basically just looks like this when you send the text. Here's a share property and gives you the address. It's a hyperlinked text. So whoever you're sharing that to can click on it, and then they would get either a prompt to download the app, or if they've downloaded the app, the property would pull up right then and there, and they can then see it pretty easily. Below Save, Hide, Share, you've got 2 additional buttons, Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. I know we're probably all talking to our clients, or at least we should be talking to all of our clients about these 2 options. And I'll address it. I've got a local lender that I've been working with for 5 years. When I started talking to him about Keller Mortgage, he's like, Marty, please share that. I love competition. I can't make myself look good unless you compare me to somebody else, right? And so he obviously said, okay, cool. Like he's gonna have to do a few things to compete with Keller Mortgage, but he knows that. And he may lean on the fact that he's a local lender that you could call him on the cell phone on a Saturday afternoon and get a hold of him. I think Keller Mortgage guys still are doing that as well, but obviously give options. Your client needs to have options. What I would hate to happen is one of your buyers purchase a property with you, doesn't know about Keller Mortgage, finds out after the fact that Keller Mortgage was an option that you didn't share with them, and then they're upset because they paid closing costs, didn't get $1,000 credit, etc. So you can go ahead and make sure that all of your consumers know about Keller Mortgage, because this is like the great CYA button. It's automatically included on every listing. So is Keller Covered, which is that second button about home insurance. Next, they can click on Read More, and they can see a full description of the property listed there, pulled from the MLS. All right, so now the screen says, right in the middle there, it says courtesy of and source. Let me ask you guys, whose listing is this? Who is the listing agent on this property? The listing agent. Somebody tell me what's the name of the listing agent? Man, awkward silence. Russ says we don't get to know. Winner, winner, and chicken dinner. Guys, your consumers are on apps right now. They are using real estate apps right now that quickly and easily give them access to somebody else's information, whether that's their premier agent or the actual listing agent. They can easily access the name and phone number of another agent. Guys, why would you want to spend so much time converting that contact into a client for them just to end around you and go work with the listing agent, right? So this is one of the points where I really say it's very important for you to get this app in your consumers' hands, because the only way to get information about this property is to click on Ask Your Agent. Who is their agent? I am. So they're going to come to me with questions, and that way I know they have an interest in that property. They're not going to be able to go. Now, obviously, they could go, in this case, to HAR in Houston and look up the property and do the work to find the listing agent and then call the listing agent. If they're going to do all that work, I probably don't want to be working with them anyway. And yet, sometimes when you get them on those other apps, well, it's just so easy. If you don't answer your phone, what do? Like immediate gratification. They're just going to call the listing agent and ask the listing agent to show you the home. So this is one of the great things about the KW consumer app, is that legally we have to list the brokerage and the MLS source. However, we do not, at least in Texas, have to list the listing agent. So it's a great way to make sure all inquiries are coming back to you, so your hard work is going to pay off. As we continue to scroll down, you can see the details on the home, all of this being pulled from the MLS. I can click on See More and get additional information that's been put into the MLS as well. Earlier, I showed you how you could explore neighborhoods, and you can do that from the map. You can also do that from the individual listing itself. You can click on Explore, and you're going to get that same page that we looked at just a little bit earlier. In addition, on the listing, you can get information about the neighborhood right there. So kind of a quick market snapshot, if you will, of the neighborhood. You're going to get some information about what locals say as far as that neighborhood goes. And then you're going to get walkability. The commute times, like I said, show up on the neighborhood and the specific listing. So if you wanted to say, hey, that 19708, that's my market center that I'm tied to, their address. So I could see it's going to be a 30-minute drive for me to work if I was working at that office anymore. It would be 5 minutes, though, to get to Trader Joe's, which that's kind of exciting. And it would be 16 minutes to get to my current home address. If I wanted to bike to Trader Joe's, I could say, all right, how long is it going to take me to bike there? Ooh, cool. Actually, only 7 minutes. Tells you a lot about Cinco Ranch traffic, right? What if I wanted to walk to Trader Joe's? Okay, that would take me about 20 minutes. Guys, these three, they are an estimate. Take them with a grain of salt, right? I know Austin area traffic is probably just as bad as Houston area traffic. So drive times, I mean, 5 o'clock, you triple that. I mean, just kind of one of those things. So, but it is a good rule of thumb for them to have ability to know kind of what the average commute time would be. You got information about the schools, again, any upcoming open houses, and then they actually have a mortgage calculator at the very bottom there where they can estimate their mortgage payment. Just be careful. Obviously, that includes mortgage and mortgage insurance. It doesn't have taxes in there. So they need to be careful about that depending on the tax rate of that local neighborhood. 2 more buttons for Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered, activity on the home, and then nearby listings as well. At the very bottom, you have all of the legal jargon and some of my marketing information as well. So that's an average listing. You can see that's the information that will show up on any listing that shows in the actual KW Consumer app. Now, show of hands, those of you that know how to raise your hand, tell me if you're like me. You're out walking, you're out driving, you're out riding your bike, whatever it may be, and you go past a house and you see a for sale sign. Raise your hand if you're like me. The first thing you want to know is, how much is it? You have no interest in buying that house, right? But you just want to know how much it is because you're curious, you're nosy, you're just like, I don't know, it looks like a nice house. My wife and I play the game, right? Because she's an agent too. And we're like, $425. And she's like, no, that's got to be at least $450. And then we'll go look it up. So your consumer can do that exact thing. The arrow in the top right-hand corner. Guys, I'm not sitting in Cinco Ranch right now. Okay, so if it was literally, all right, I want to see how much that property is, but it's right here, then they can click on the arrow in that top right-hand corner. And based upon the GPS located in their phone, boom, immediately they can be zoomed in as to where they sit. So now you could say, all right, now I have a filter on, of course, so it's not showing any listings in this area, but I could come into more. I could scroll, I could see the bottom left-hand corner says clear filter. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to come back, and this might have been the house, that 177 on the bottom right that we just drove by. So I could click on it and then easily see, okay, there's the property. I was saying 200, Nicole said 175, she wins. She gets to brag for a couple of minutes, right? So that arrow takes them anywhere. And guys, here's the cool part. I used to be a restaurant manager for Papa's Brother Steakhouse and Perry's Steakhouse and Grill. So we used to go to Napa very regularly. We got taken out there as kind of a perk to be a GM. And every time I was out in California, I was like, man, I would love to live out here. I could easily pull up my KW Consumer app. I could click on that arrow in the top right-hand corner, and then I could quickly find out why I don't live in California, because the house prices are like 4 times what they are here. But it's a great way anywhere you're traveling in the US to kind of get an idea about what the home prices are in that area. Let me ask you this. How many of you have gone on a listing appointment where you got to the actual house and you're like, ooh, wish I would have known a little bit more about the neighborhood, right? Wish I would have known that it backed to a gas station. Wish I would have known that lived across the street from the high school with the marching band practicing all the time, right? So the ability on your app, so here's what I used to do, right? I did it twice. It happened 2 times, and finally I was like, I gotta start researching this better. One time I went to a listing and it backed to a car wash. Literally, there was a commercial strip behind the house and there was the car wash. And I had done comps without knowing that. Obviously, that's going to affect the price of the house. Another time I did it and they actually backed to raw land, and I hadn't researched whether that was commercial or residential. And obviously that could impact the sale of the house too. I started using Google Earth. Every time I would go on a listing appointment, one more step that I had to do was pull up Google Earth, put in the address, and then zoom in on the property to see, okay, let me get my bearings for the neighborhood, kind of have a better understanding of where this listing is. Here's the cool thing on our app. We have the ability to do that. So in the top right-hand corner, you can click on the More button. So you'll see More in the top right corner. And then we saw the Listings tab, and we walked through that. However, there's another tab at the top that says Map. I want you to click on Map, and you'll see Default versus Satellite. So if I click on Satellite, and then click on Done, you can see that it changes my view. If you are going to help me sell the house that I'm in right now, this is one of our investment properties, and you pulled comps and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm getting comps that are 175, 185, 200, and then I'm getting these 2 random comps that are 500 and 550. Well, you could zoom in on my investment property and start to get an understanding. You're like, oh, wow. So Marty lives at the absolute north side of a small community of what looks like probably 50-foot lots. You know, kind of small starter investment properties, but he lives right across from acreage properties that look like much bigger homes with much bigger lots. So that's probably why I'm getting those 450, 550, 525s across the street, whereas I'm getting the 175s and 150s down in his area. You can also zoom in, kind of see, okay, well, how many people have pools, right? Kind of peep the neighbors and see what's going on there. You can see, all right, are there any broken down vehicles? Guys, this white truck, you can literally see it. It is parked there every dang day, every day. I don't even know if they drive it. Like, it's so frustrating because half the time I have to worry about hitting it when I back out of the driveway. Neither here nor there. You can actually see a little bit more about what's happening in the neighborhood by utilizing that satellite view. So again, you click on the More button in the top right-hand corner, click on Map, the Map tab there, and then you can toggle between Default, where you can see the names of the streets and the neighborhoods, and Satellite, where you can just zoom in and actually see the overhead satellite view. Now, again, you're only going to get the neighborhoods to show up if you're in that default view. So I'm going to go back to that and click on Done. And then you can see it takes us back to this map. I can start seeing street names. I can start seeing neighborhood boundaries and names. I can see a lot more information there. Earlier, I talked to you about places. The consumer can add up to 3 places that they want to track the commute times from by clicking on More in the bottom right-hand corner. So I'm going to go to More, and then I'm going to go to My Account, which is the second one down. And then you can see the third one down says Places. So I'm going to click on Places, and there are the 3 places that I've put into my app. However, if I wanted to change that, let's just say I wanted to, maybe at some point in the future, I get a job at KWRI, but I'm going to stay here. I'm just going to commute. It'd be a kind of a drive, but I wonder how long it would be from that listing there. So I could click on Delete, and then I could say, all right, let me add another place. 1221 South Mopac. All right, and then you can see there's KWRI's address. I'm going to choose that one as one of my places. Now I can come back to the map, and I can go to search. I can choose any one of these listings, and then I'm going to scroll up again through that listing, and now you can see that KWRI is one of the places, and I could see that's going to be a 2-hour and 15-minute drive from here to KWRI. That would be a heck of a commute. So I could always then come and look and say, okay, well, let me zoom this map all the way out. Maybe I want to live a little bit closer. Maybe I want to live in Belleville or Brenham, or, you know, maybe I actually want to go north of Austin. So you can see, obviously, we can search anywhere in the entire US for properties and then look at listings, right? I could zoom in. Let's just say wanted to live in that Round Rock, Georgetown area. I could choose one of those properties as it continues to search. It's taking a second or two here to zoom those in, but then I could click on any one of those properties. And guys, those places, when you're in more, they can choose up to 3. So it could be, right, sometimes I've had families where it's a single vehicle family, and maybe, or it's a dual vehicle family, but maybe the older mother lives with them, and the mother likes to walk to church or walk to the grocery store during the day. So I could put in the closest grocery store that she likes to walk to, or the church that she goes to, and then they could actually look at properties and know, okay, how long is it going to take for mom to walk to church or school or the grocery store from this listing? And they could see that on every single listing from there. So that's how you have them set up their places. Just a little bit more about this more menu. They can add a co-buyer if they want to actually have correspondence back and forth between the husband and wife or partners. They can share the app from the app. Now, just know that when they share the app, the text is a little bit different. It says, I use the KW app to search for my homes with my realtor, Marty Miller. You should download it now for a personalized experience. So you going into your app and then sharing it is probably not the best practice. I'm going to show you the best practice for you sharing your app in just a second. But I wanted to let you know from the consumer side of things, that's how they could share the app with people as well. Let's see, let's jump into a few questions and then we're going to transition into the next step. So Cameron, I've been searching on the app during this and it suddenly became unbranded. I've seen that happen a couple of times. Labs is aware of it. There's actually an update coming out very soon, probably within the next week or two, that should address that concern. But it should, it occasionally will do that and then I see that it resets. So, and then sometimes you may just have to go choose yourself as the app or as the agent again. So Labs is very well aware of that, and then the patch or the fix should be coming with the next release, which should be happening next week or two. Russ said, Marty, I tried that, didn't come up. If it is pending or pending taking backups, I think the app doesn't show it. Yeah, so there are, guys, there's 1,400 MLSs in the nation. And they're working on the different ways, right? So let me just tell you, in HAR, it can be option pending, it can be pending, it can be pending continuing to show. It looks like in ABOR, it could be pending or pending taking backups. In SABOR, right, San Antonio, it might be pending except for backups, or, right, you can imagine all the different ways that we do that. And so they are working on some of those statuses to make sure. And also, here's the fun thing, MLSs like to change that stuff every now and then. Anytime the MLS makes a change, it disconnects in our app. So they're working on it. I know Active works for all MLSs. So I don't know that the consumer would be wanting to look for pendings. That just sounds like they're looking for heartache or heartbreak, right? So we'll see about, hopefully that'll get fixed. But again, I wouldn't be too worried about the fact that they can't search for pendings. Tom, how do I rebrand my unbranded? You're just going to go back to more. And then if it says find a Keller Williams agent, you would just click on that button again and then go in and find yourself. We kind of went through that at the very beginning there. All right, so at the very bottom, you're going to see 5 buttons: search, feed, guide, saved, and more. We spent a lot of time in search in the bottom left. We've spent a lot of time in more in the bottom right. I want to click on saved real quick, and I'm going to show you that that's where, one, I can find my collections. So remember how I added that house and I created a new collection called Cinco Ranch Homes? You can see there under saved are my recent collections, and I could click on view all. And you can see yesterday I taught this in Cedar Park, so I created a collection there. And then I've also got my favorites down at the bottom. So this is where I could view all of my collections, and I can actually start a new collection by clicking on that button at the very bottom there, and then actually name the collection, and it would be empty, but it would be a new collection that I could then put listings into. In addition, we saved that search earlier, And so I can see my saved searches at the bottom, and I can click on view all, and then I can see any of the searches. So that might be my Lake Travis setup. That might be Napa Valley setup, right? Any of the different searches that I create on the app, I can save and then easily access them in the future, so that I don't have to go put in 4 bedrooms, 3+ bathrooms, 250 to 450 in this area with the pool, you know, all the different things, right? So I could save those searches quickly and easily. And then all I have to do to access them again is click on the button. I'm taken right back to that exact search that I built out earlier in today's class. So that's how you access both your saved properties and your saved searches. You'll see the second button over is called Feed. Not working 100% right now. They are actually developing what that's going to look like. Just so you guys know, that's where correspondence between you and the consumer. So you as the agent, and then you as the consumer, right, can start sharing things back and forth. You can have communication. You can, you know, kind of build out some, basically some interactions that are happening there between the feeds. So that is one feature that we're still working on developing. So right now it doesn't do much of anything. Just so you know, if you click on it, right, you're not going to be able to get in there. Scott brings up a great point. So you can actually search for school district as well. Let's see, is it independent? Let's see, Georgetown. I'm going to guess that it's independent school district. So there you go. So at the very bottom, you can see Georgetown Independent School District, and I can click on that. And then there's the Georgetown Independent School District boundaries as well. So great point, Scott. I apologize that I didn't show you guys how to do that as well. Thanks for bringing that up. Next, I can click on Guide. I want everyone to click on Guide in the middle, that button at the bottom in the very middle. There are 2 guides included on the consumer app. And what these are is basically the buying process with you as their agent and the selling process with you as their agent. Guys, I gave you homework earlier. The first piece of homework was to go in and get into your marketing profile, make sure it's completely built out. You've got your headshot, you've got your profile, you've got your designations, your address, your team, your logo, all of that kind of stuff set out. The second piece of homework is go download the app, obviously, start playing with it, play with all the different search features so that you can learn it as the consumer learns it, so that you can then share all of the cool features and say, hey, this is why you want to get off those other apps and onto my app, because you can search for neighborhood information. You can search by commute time. You can search by landmarks. You can, right, all the different things that you can do on our app that they cannot do on those other apps. Here's another selling point, is when you work with me, on your consumer app will be a fully built out guide of what it looks like to buy a house with me or what it looks like to sell a house with me. At any point during this transaction, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, if you're ever concerned about where are we now and what are our next steps, all you will have to do is click on your app and then click on Guide, and you're going to see what the steps are with regards to purchasing or selling a house with me as your agent. Now, guys, when you are telling them that at the listing appointment or the buyer consult, you're building up the technology that you use. That other agent that you're competing with is not doing that. They don't have an app that does this. Okay, so that's one, a very cool selling point. 2, on the flip side, you've got to know what you're telling them. So your next piece of homework is to explore these guides. You can see on the selling side, it makes it look like, now no disrespect to KWRI, but it makes it look like there's only 5 steps in the selling process. I'm going to sell a $500,000 house, get paid 15 grand to do 5 steps. All right, we already battle with our sellers enough as it is to get paid the commission that we're due. I would want to make sure that I expand these 5 steps. Now you can see, to their credit, if I click on any one of these steps, I get a very extensive amount of information included in each one of the steps. However, my personal preference would be, I want to take this showing your home step, and I would break it out into probably 4 or 5 separate steps. It might be staging your home. And I would talk about, when you work with me, you get a free 1-hour appointment with a stager who's going to come out and have discussions with you about the things that you can do to your house to help it look better and sell for more money. And then we're going to talk about, maybe if you don't want to meet with a stager, here are some common things, right? Weed your garden, get some fresh mulch, power wash the driveway, declutter, fresh paints, any of those types of things that they can do. You guys know all of those things. You could list that out in the staging your home step. Then it is preparing your home for photography, videography. And every photographer that you work with has their preferences. So it might be things like, make sure all light bulbs are, one, working, and two, are the same brand and same wattage. I know my photographer, he has a pet peeve about that, because he takes a picture of a ceiling fan and he can tell his camera is so good, the difference between the bulbs, right? So making sure that that's another step. All your blinds are facing up, all the lights are out, all the cars are out of the driveway, whatever your videographer or photographer prefer. Then is preparing your listing to go live on the MLS. And I talk about the first step is getting the photos back from the actual photographer, getting back our virtual tour from the videographer. I'm uploading all the information that you shared with me during our appointment. You can imagine the different steps that you can build out. I'm going to show you in just a second how you can build out a custom guide for your clients. But this is what I want you to start thinking about, because guys, inadvertently, when you share this app with your consumers, you're telling them what it is to work with you. One, if you're not familiar with what you're telling them, how do you live up to doing what you're telling them you're going to do, right? So make sure you spend time on each one of these guides. Second of all, there might be things in here you don't do. So you want to make sure you edit that step to remove those promises that you're not going to deliver on. And there may be things that you do that are not included in the app that you want to add to. So when you get into, so we're going to actually transition now. I'm going to take you out of the app. Again, this is the guide button on the app in the very middle. So I'm going to click on, let me stop this share and then get into command. So when you are in your KW Command account, you're going to come down to the second to last applet called Consumer, right? So we're looking for the Consumer applet. I'm going to click on Consumer. I'm going to get 3 tabs at the very top: landing pages, agent site pages, and guide builder. So I'm going to click on guide builder. And then when I'm in guide builder, you're going to see that there are 2 guides available for me to work on. It's the buyer guide and the selling guide. Right now, the selling guide, like we showed you, only has 5 steps. So probably want to do a little bit of editing there. In addition to buyer guides, I think it's 9 steps, 10 steps. We'll see in just a second here. Yeah, 9 steps on the buying guide. So you can edit in either one of these guides by just clicking on this pencil. Side note, just so you know, in the future, you're going to have the ability to actually create additional guides, meaning that you could create a first-time buyer guide, a luxury property buyer guide, a farm and ranch buyer guide. It might be an investor, foreclosure, REO, or SEO, right, buyer guide. So you could apply those guides to the opportunity that you create for that person, and then it will show up on their app a little bit differently. But right now, it's just the buying and the selling guide. So to edit, I'm just going to click on the pencil here on the far right-hand side. Let's start with the selling guide. And you can see I can click on this tab. First of all, there's a card image or a photo there. I don't know about you guys, we don't have homes that look like this in Katy, right? So I might change this guide. This kind of looks like South Florida or Miami or something, right? So changing that photo to match your local homes. Next, you have the card title, which is showing your home. You can change that to match the name of the title you're creating. So in the example I gave earlier, it might be staging your home. Then you have kind of this teaser text here, if you will, and it says that's the card subtitle, and I can change that. And then if I scroll down, you can see workspace details, and you've got all of the information about this actual card. And that's where you could go in and kind of edit. Maybe you're going to cut some things out and divide them up into separate steps. That's where you would do all of that information, is kind of tweak. Okay, I don't do this. I do this at this step, etc. If you want to create new steps, you're just going to scroll down to the bottom and click on Add a New Step. And there you can see where you can change or create the card image, the title, the subtitle. Once the card's been created, you would click on it, and that's where you can put in the workspace text as well. And then if you needed to reorder your steps, you would just click on this little tab, and you can reorder them by dragging them up or down. And then once you're done, you're going to save your changes, and then that way that'll update your app so that your consumers can then see the new steps of what it's like to work with you. So that's your next piece of homework, is one, go in there, make sure you understand what the actual steps say, because right now, many of you are sharing your apps with your consumers, and you don't even realize that you're setting an expectation that they're going to have of you when they work with you, and you may not even know that expectation. So how is it fair to really say, oh, you're mad at me for doing something or not doing something, I didn't even know I was supposed to do it. So learn the guide, edit the guide, customize the guide to make sure it is what's working with you. Now let's talk about actually sharing your app. And then Scott, I saw your question, we're coming to it. So how do I get my app out to the actual consumer? When I'm in this consumer tab, you'll see site and app settings on any one of these, in the consumer applet. On any one of these tabs, you're always going to see the site and app settings button. So you can click on site and app settings, and you're going to scroll down, and it's going to tell you, here is your app link, and here is your app code. So they can actually text a specific code to a specific number and then get a link, or they can follow your actual URL. So once I'm under site and app settings, I'm going to click on the URL tab, and then you can see I have app URL or app text code. So this is the URL. This is specific to me. And guys, just so you know, this is case sensitive. So you want to make sure that if you're sharing this, that you make sure app.kw.com, lowercase / uppercase your code. App text code, they have to send a text to 87778, and then type in this code. I'll be honest with you guys, unless you're dealing with more tech savvy individuals, most people that I have attempted to work this with, they jack it up. I was testing with my mom and dad, and I love my mom and dad. They're elementary educators. They are very well educated, both have multiple degrees. But I said, hey mom, I want to send you my text code. Can you see if it works? My mom sent me back a text to me that said 87778. I'm like, Mom, that's not how it works. Then she said, well, I don't know what's happening. She sent me a screenshot. She created a contact called KWTYRWV and kept sending them a text that said 87778. Mom, you got it backwards, right? So typically I would say just go the route of sharing the actual app URL with them. They can click on the link and then easily download your app from there. And that's how you would share direct. We also have a couple of other options. There is a smart plan that's already been created. Under smart plans, this is your diploma icon. So you can click on smart plans, and you will see under the library, if you've not already added it to your smart plan, the promote my app smart plan. It's only 3 steps long. It's only about 5 days long. It's pretty short, quick, and sweet to the point. It sends them an email right off the bat that basically talks to them about the KW consumer app. And when they click on the links, it is your branded link that allows them to then download your branded app. Here's the deal, guys. With all technology systems, occasionally there are glitches. Trust, but verify. If I were sending out links to my consumers and I wanted to make sure that they were downloading my branded app, I would just follow up with them, right? And make sure that, A, that they got the email, they got the link. And if they say, yes, I got it, I'll say, great. I'm going to send you a screenshot. Can you make sure your app looks like mine? And then I would click on the more button of my app showing my branding, and I would text that to them. And that way they can say, yep, mine looks like that. Or no, mine says something about find a Keller Williams agent. And then you can walk them through the process of finding you as an agent. Lauren, the first thing you're going to do is get into your Connect and Command marketing profiles and make sure they're completely filled out. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to download the app if you haven't already. You're going to brand it to yourself, and you're going to play. Go search for homes, search by neighborhood, search by landmark, search by current location, search by bedrooms, baths, search by school district, right? Save some, create some collections, hide some, so you can start to see what it looks like to work as a consumer. And then the last thing is you want to get in and be familiar with guides, right? Go through the listing guide, go through the buyer's guide, make sure you're familiar. And if you choose to make any edits, make those under the consumer tab. From there, I would recommend you start, now that you're familiar with it and you understand how it works, start getting people using it. So share the link directly, put people on the Promote My App Smart Plan. And then the third option is you can actually use social media. So under campaigns, which is our megaphone icon here, I can click on campaigns, and then I can come to social posts. As long as I have come into my settings menu, right? Come into the settings, I'm not going to go through it. There's plenty of information out there how to do it. But I want to make sure that I've connected my Facebook business page or my Facebook profile, which has my business page tied to it, and my Twitter account, one or both. Then you have the ability to come in here to campaigns, click on social posts, and on the right-hand side, you have what are called suggested quick posts. Because I have a lot of people that tell me, I'm just not good with Facebook. I'm not good with Twitter. Great, I'm not that good either. Here's the cool thing, that we have professionally designed and created posts ready for us to go. They've already added the picture, the video, they've already added the text. Literally all you have to do is come along and click this little arrow right here. And you can see that the post verbiage is already created. If you don't like what this one says, you can even click on shuffle and it'll give you, well, this is what this one says. And I don't like what that one says. Let me click on shuffle again, right? So you can see that there's a couple of different texts that are in here that you can choose between the two. If you don't like this one, use this one, right? If you don't like that one, use this one. So there's a few that you can kind of rotate through what the actual text says. Here's the fun part. This is your branded app link. This isn't, this is mine. But when you're in here, it'll be your branded app link. Professionally designed marketing photo already done. You see you've got your DBA logo loaded, and then I can decide, do I want to publish this immediately or do I want to schedule it out? And if I want to schedule it out, when do I want it to go out? And then you can see date and time down here and whether I want it to go out on Facebook, Twitter, or both. Now, if you only have one account done, then obviously it's only going to show you the one account you have connected. Guys, there's a ton of these. This second one, if you see this black screen, don't freak out. That's not an error. This is actually the consumer app video. I'll play about 10 seconds so you can get an idea of what that looks like. So you can quickly and easily share this actual video just by clicking on the arrow. And just like the photo, the video is embedded. I've got text. I don't have to think about what I want to say. Like, here's my video. No, that looks a lot better than here's my video. And I can decide, do I want to publish this right now? Or do I want to schedule this to go out? When do I want it to go out? Which pages do I want that to go out on? And there's more than just two. I can click on the shuffle button here. There's two new ones. I can click on the shuffle button again. There's two new ones, right? And I think there's like 12 or 15 different ones as you continue to shuffle through them. So guys, my recommendation is pick a time, right? Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, I don't care when it is. Spend 30 minutes coming in here and schedule out your social media posts for the week. And guys, some people will say, well, you should only post 1 or 2 times to your business page. Here's my thought. First of all, the Facebook algorithm ensures that all of your fans and all of your friends are not going to see every post that you make. Right? There's just no way. There's so much stuff on Facebook. There's no way I see everything every one of my friends post every time. That includes your business page posts. So if you post 5 days a week, the same exact post 5 days a week, I can guarantee you that some of your friends might only see it once. Some may not see it at all. Now, there's a chance that you might see it more than once. And yet, if you're going through and saying this one, and then this one, and then that one, and that one, and I'm gonna do the same thing next week, but I'm just gonna do them in a different order, or maybe a different time of day, it's a quick and easy way to make sure that your app is then getting into the hands of consumers. The last thing I want to show you is how you can tell whether or not contacts are being added to your database. Anytime someone downloads your app that is not already in your database, you will get a new icon showing, and it's a check mark. And I want to show you how you can determine who has downloaded your app. If you come into filters, there's a new filter called branded to me. And I can click on that filter and I can say yes and apply. And then it's going to show, here are all of the people that have downloaded my app and done things on them. Now, if you're sending this app link to someone that's already in your database, right now, you're not going to get that check mark. Okay, they're still going to be connected to you. You just won't get the check mark. The check mark is kind of like leads coming in from Facebook that get the L. Same thing here. The check mark is someone that you share it with that wasn't previously in your database and now is. They get a check mark, meaning that they came in through downloading your app or registering on your agent's sites. With regards to questions, so Scott had a great question, and I'm going to kind of expand upon that. So how do I tell what they're doing? Right now, you can see that I've come through, and this is my friend Elena, right, that downloaded my app. I can see that she downloaded it back on April 2nd. We went through and moved her through the guide, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. And then I can see that on the 22nd, she viewed a listing. And here's the cool part, guys. Here's the actual listing. I can click on it, and I can see exactly what she's looking at. She's looking at a house in Lakeside, Montana. That's where she lives. So here's a quick and easy way. Now I can actually come back into command. Well, it looks like the next day she got bored again, and she looked at this listing. Oh, that one didn't go through. It might already be off market, right? So let's see if I can get it to come up by hitting refresh. Oh, it's the same one, 180. Did she look at the same listing twice and I wasn't paying attention? Okay, so it's the same listing twice that she looked at, right? You can tell by the number 219-17152. So she might really like that house. She's looked at it twice on my app. So this might be a great time to call her and say, Elena, hey, are you looking at moving, right? And here's the thing with this, guys, be careful. Two schools of thought. Either one, I'm going to tell the consumer when I'm discussing my app with them. Hey, and the greatest part is anytime that you create a collection or view a listing or favorite a property, I'll know about it. So then I'll be more informed about what's happening in your search so that when the time comes and you says, yes, I want to see these homes, I'm already going to be a little bit more familiar with them. So number one, tell them you're peeping their stuff, right? I can see what you're doing. The other route is play dumb and say, hey, Elena, now this one's going to be hard because that's in Montana. I can't say, Elena, I went for a bike ride and saw a house that you might like because that's not in Katy, right? So the play dumb one really only works for local buyers and sellers saying, oh, I drove by a house the other day. I was thinking about you. I thought it might be a perfect fit. And they're like, oh my gosh, I just added that property to my favorites this morning. And you're like, wow, what a coincidence. Let's go see it. So that's the other route that you can do. We talked about the guides earlier. I wanted to show you when you're working with a buyer or seller, you're going to have an opportunity created for them. When it is somebody that has downloaded your app using the same email address, you got to make sure it's the same email address that you have in their contact record that they use to register on the app. You're going to have a tab. You're going to have this tab either way. But when they've used it, I can click on seller profile. And then I can see, okay, Elena has registered with my platform, which means that I can then manage her through the selling guide. So you can see right now I've checked off the showing your home step, but maybe now we're getting in offers. And so I'm going to say, well, we've actually executed one. So I'm going to click on completed. Now here's the guide, another thing, right? First, we're going to get offers, then we're going to negotiate offers, then we're going to execute offers, then we're going to negotiate repairs. Right? So these are all different steps that you guys could be building out so that I would have more than just the 5. But I just wanted to show you that I can click on completed and save changes. And then Elena's guide is going to have a check mark next to that step, letting her know, hey, we've completed this step. So it's important that if you guys are at the buyer consult or the listing presentation and you're selling these steps, that you're actually checking them off, right? You're going to have knowledge of where we are and what our next steps are. And then they look down, they're sitting at the closing table and they're like, remember when you told us about this guide? It didn't work. You never did anything. What? I don't understand, right? So making sure that you're actually going through the seller profile tab of the opportunity and marking off the guides as you go through, right? So in the future, with the newest app update, which should be coming out within the next couple of weeks, to answer the question, yes, you're going to be able to start seeing the listings that they're viewing. We just saw that in Elena's. You're going to start being able to see collections that they are creating. You're going to be able to start seeing neighborhoods that they're looking at. You're going to actually be able to see the actual criteria that they set up on a search. So I firmly believe that when we released the app at the beginning, we were really erring on the privacy side of the consumer. And then we quickly started to realize privacy with regards to real estate app is dead, right? Zillow can see everything you're doing in their app. Redfin can see everything you're doing in their app. So we should be able to see everything you're doing in our app. So that's why some of these new updates are coming through, because we didn't used to have access. Now as an agent, we're going to start to see the access to all the things that are happening in that world. And so you saw in Elena's contact record, just some examples. I could see when she viewed a listing, if she were to start creating collections, I could see those. You can see that I just marked off the review offer step. I just did that. It shows up in her timeline as well. If she's creating searches, if she's looking at neighborhoods, all of that's going to happen within her contact record. So I can start seeing what she's been up to. Russ, there's no way right now, I think you're probably coming from Boomtown, if I'm guessing, where you could see, hey, they viewed a property, get an alert. We're not quite there yet. I don't know that we won't be there in the future, but right now you would have to look at their record and actually kind of review through there. But that's pretty much it, guys. Homework, right? We talked about it. Marketing profile, download the app, play with the app, get into your guide, start sharing the app with as many people as possible. I wish that I could be there with you because I like shaking hands and making hugs, and yet unfortunately, obviously with COVID, but Q3, I'll be coming back. I'm coming back in person because one I like traveling to. I like seeing you guys, so can't wait to see you there. As always, you have an amazing real estate leadership team there in your market center who's doing some really great things. I've actually had some conversations recently about the transitions they're making with you and working through all of that. So look forward to see the success that you guys are having. So as always, hope you guys are staying safe, staying safe, staying healthy, and having an amazing day. Look forward to following up with you in the future. This was recorded, and I will send the link. I have to upload it to YouTube because for some reason the download in Zoom's kind of working wonky. But I'll upload it to the YouTube channel, and I'll send your leadership team the link. That way, if you have team members that weren't here, or friends or family that wanted to watch it, or whatever, someone in the office that was asking about it, you can watch that later on. So hope you guys all have a fantastic day and a great weekend. It's Friday, guys. Get excited. Talk to you later.